Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we got an absolutely wonderful show coming your way. I got guests coming to us all the way from Canada, but this is a well-traveled guest, and he is going to talk to us about a lot of great things. I'm just excited. I'll tell you what, before I even get off into that, I want to match up the television, radio, and all of the different platforms at the same time. So, Kevin, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we got an absolutely wonderful show coming your way today. Actually, we got one of my alumni, same school. We're talking about the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That's going to be joining me today. And not just that, but this guy is well-versed, traveled all over the world, lived in many, many places. Currently, he lives in Canada, doing a lot of great things in Canada. And a young man that's doing great things. And I'm excited to have him on the show today to talk about a lot of things, such as the banking industry, investment industry, managerial, lots and lots of stuff. But most importantly, to talk about his upbringing and all the things that he have learned over the years, places he has lived in, that makes him the person that he is today. So we're talking no other than my friend over the last couple of weeks or so, Adrian Hidaka. Let me tell you a little bit about this young man. Adrian is a global experience at senior and managerial level in dealing with floors of leading investment banks and security houses, which had allowed him to experience full market cycles. He built his career by understanding the specifics of the needs of every client in a challenging and multifaceted international market. In his current role, he draws on his expertise to help achieve your wealth management goals and realize your life vision. Adrian developed and maintained a loyal base over in Tokyo, Hong Kong, New York, London, Singapore, Sydney, and several other places. He had managed over $50 billion in assets for these clients and helping them increase their wealth and their goals, their mission goals. Again, he's a graduate of Notre Dame University, the School of Mendoza. Yeah. And so without any further ado, I'm going to bring him on. He'll tell you a lot more about him. Welcome to the show, Adrian. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, JC. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure having you on, man. I tell you.
No, it's great to connect, and it's always a pleasure to be with another Notre Dame alum. So really happy to be here, and I'm new to your platform and to your foundation, but from what I can see, everything so far, it looks great, and I'm looking forward to subscribing to everything and always being a part of this. So,
oh yeah, man, and it's just like I said, glad to have you. Adrian, I mean, doing my due diligence, you got a very interesting background,
Yeah.
especially growing up in Tokyo, living in Singapore. Can you tell our audience, our viewers and audience, a little bit more about you, where you grew up, um, places that you have traveled to along your way to increase your experiential knowledge, your understanding to make you the person that you are today?
Absolutely. So where do I begin? It's one of those things where when I dread going to parties and events in a lot of ways, because when somebody asks me where you're from, I don't know where to begin. Um, so uh, I was born in the Philippines. I was born in Manila. I was born there because my father was setting up a Canadian bank there, Scotia Bank, in the 80s. I am, believe it or not, half Japanese. I'm kind of a genetic mystery. My father is Japanese and my mother is from Northern Ireland. So yeah, born in Manila, in a bicultural, biracial house, and we moved to Japan after that. After Japan, Canada, then back to Japan, and then from Japan to Notre Dame to play tennis for Notre Dame. And then I moved back to Japan again to work. And after that, Hong Kong, and then back to Canada. So it really has been just. I'm still trying to find a shortened version of that will save people a lot of time, and I haven't quite figured it out because there's just so much of this going on, especially the back and forth from Japan. But when somebody asks, where are you from, I like to say Japan. It's where I spent most of my years growing up and where I developed my career.
So growing up back and forth in all these different countries, who were some of your role models that you looked up to as you were developing all of this to pour from and say, okay, I like what they're doing. I'm going to do this one day, etc. So who were some of the people that you looked up to that helped influence and help shape your mindset?
I mean, I was a big sports guy. So I was, huge ever since I was a kid. And it's really funny because now the Netflix documentary came out and it's basically just confirms all the greatness in the man. But I mean, I was a big Michael Jordan guy. And I remember, back in, when I was just 10, 11 years old, and it was just VHS cassette tapes of, watching Michael Jordan. Just to me, that was sort of he was the pinnacle of somebody who is just relentlessly works hard every single day, right? Through everything that he went through, personally, his career, the death of his father and everything, and all the attention that he had to go through, and to still kind of just come out on top like that all the time, and just he showed up every day. That to me was incredibly inspiring. And everybody's just like the commercial, right? I want to be like Mike. It's just like, it's kind of nailed it right there. I have some tennis guys as well. I was a big fan of Andre Agassi, John McEnroe, but yeah, I guess sports figures. I was really I was a sporty kid growing up, and it always it's always made me feel what sort I'm looking for. Just like, how do those people get up and stay number one for so long, right? And continue to be motivated like that. And it's funny, 30 years later, I don't feel any different, right? I still when that Last Dance docuseries came out, I mean, I must have seen it about 20 times since it's come out, So
that was a good movie. I mean, no, not movie, but documentary with Michael Jordan. And you mentioned something about work ethic, getting up, going to work, whatever that is. Was you working on your game? Was you working on anything, your grades, etc.? It requires a certain type of mindset, and it requires a certain type of focus.
Yeah.
And so I tell you what, we're going to take a station break, but we are going to come back and take a station break. And whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to that platform and go to the comments, ask any questions that you might have, or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, pick up the phone. Dial 1-888-344-1170. Remember, it's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are. The one that keeps us close when we're apart. Walking from the darkness of all that we've been through. It seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again a life of
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I tell you, just sit back, get an opportunity to know Adrian and, what it was like growing up, moving around. But we're going to get heavier and deeper into that because we're going to talk about this thing called Expatriate. We're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, I got to always throw a wrench in it. Adrian, what would be one adjective to best describe who you are and why?
One adjective. I would say flexible. Can I change that? I would say, I mean, they're kind of related terms. I would say embracing.
Okay.
Yeah. And why is because of all the moving around I've had to do and all the circumstances that I've had to face as, living an international life. You have to embrace change. Otherwise, it doesn't work. There's too much of it, right? And it took me some time to actually figure that out. It wasn't until my move to Hong Kong where I truly learned the importance of that, right? And I told a lot of people, and I help a lot of people who are Notre Dame graduates or anyone really. I just happen to be in touch with a lot of Notre Dame graduates who are on a foreign assignment or they've got to move somewhere, unexpectedly or somewhere that isn't exactly what they wanted, but they had to go there and some of these guys will hit me up and say, man, this is brutal, and I hate this place, it's not, and nothing's in their wheelhouse. Everything is going against the grain. And that's how I felt when I moved to Hong Kong, and tell you what, I woke up one day, I'm like, look, I'm either going to complain about the terrible weather here, the traffic congestion, the food not exactly being my type of food, the pollution coming in from mainland China, like all this stuff, or I embrace the change and think, you know what, this is an experience that should be grateful to have. Not everybody can have it. It's giving you an opinion on something, even if it's not a great opinion, it's an opinion. It's making you interesting. It's making you grow. So, it was like an epiphany. I started to embrace change instead of scrutinize it or point at it. And that really helped. And when I look back on my life, I was basically doing that my whole life, just at sort of different degrees of realization.
Moving around, embracing, you mentioned something that's so important to all of us because we move in different environments. We are pretty much, most of us, I can only speak for myself, coming out of Chattanooga, Tennessee as a young, extremely poor guy. I mean, hadn't seen nothing in the world. Left there, went to boot camp and went overseas. Never been there before. And nothing was the same as it was where I was coming from. And to me, it was different. Didn't want to have nothing to do with it initially until I had to open up my mind and embrace the change, to give it a chance. Understand that's going to be good and there is going to be bad. Understand the pros and the cons that go with that. Learn the customs, learn this, learn that. And you know what? I tell you, Adrian, after giving it a little time and thought, I start liking every place I went. I mean, it was different from wherever I was from. And that's what led me to want to travel all over. So I embrace, just like you mentioned, I embrace change. I welcome change. But take it back into this expatriate. You did travel to all of these different countries, lived in these different countries. What was it like in Japan when you got the call or you got the offer to leave Japan, where you had grew up, to go to the States, to Notre Dame, which I don't know if you had been there before or have spent a whole lot of time, but going to a place, an environment where you was going to be for at least 4 years. How did you feel about that?
Well, it was a very joyous occasion. I wasn't, playing tennis in Japan. It's not like being a player from Florida or California, right? These strong tennis states in the U.S. I wasn't heavily recruited, so I knew the best tennis schools. I sent my tape and my ranking in Japan and all that to these schools, maybe about 30 of them. I did a sort of a cross reference between the top 30 schools academically and the top 30 schools of tennis. And then I just sort of sent those out. Sorry, I don't know, maybe top 50. I can't remember, but I remember sending out about 30 tapes. Some came back, most didn't, and I understand it, right? They've got, NCAA Division I, they have such a big pool of players in the United States to recruit, and somebody who coaches can't physically go watch in Japan. Not many coaches are going to take a chance on a player like that. So, not to mention just the level of play in general, especially then, was lower than the United States. So, I got responses from Notre Dame, Northwestern, UPenn, Cornell, and College of William and Mary. They offered to send me out on a recruiting trip, which I did. After visiting all 5 schools, to me, it was a no-brainer. Just Notre Dame, was the place for me. And I got on really well with the coach, and I just felt that whole, I drank the Kool-Aid early, with the ND thing, and that was it. I applied early, and the coach said, I got a spot for you on the team, and that's all. He said, I don't, I'm not going to promise you anything when you're here. We got a guy coming in who's going to play in the last singles position, who's number 1 in Florida. And I get that. I mean, I knew I was never going to be a star there. I was just happy to go to Notre Dame to play tennis and get a degree from there. So that was it. I was super excited, and my family was very happy, and it was, probably one of the best memories, I would say, of my
Notre
life.
Dame is a beautiful school, especially the School of Business, Mendoza. It's probably one of the best in the country as a
Yep.
business major or whatever that is, any type of transformation leadership, organization leadership, whatever you're doing. I found that to be extremely helpful to me, and that provided me with understanding to do what I do right now. So let's talk about the title of the show today, and let's go into details. Life as an expatriate in Asia. Why did you come up with that title, and why it's so important that we share that with the world?
The guys that I came up with in the markets in Tokyo and Hong Kong, especially Japan, we still talk about today how it's incredible how there has not been some HBO series or a TV show about it. I mean, it is such a, I would say, globally unearthed experience that oh, I'm sorry about that. I think people just don't know enough about. I think there's a lot of movies and I guess shows that sort of stigmatize the sort of warped nature of it, of being out there, right? There's that show Lost in Translation, a movie Lost in Translation. It was a great movie, but it's sort of like more like the darker aspect of Tokyo, right? And relationships out there. I think the show just came out recently called Expat, and it's actually in Hong Kong. And I think, again, that's a bit of about the sort of like darker side of things. And
Adrian, hold that thought.
Yeah.
So we got to take a station break.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Getting interesting. We're getting ready to dive off into this topic.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about a lot of different things.
Okay.
And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on or listening to us on the radio. And go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Or pick up that phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. 1-888-344-1170. We're going to come back shortly after the break. It's Your Life with Cecil.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
There's much truth in a journey that ain't over yet, as all.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z, and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I tell you, we were just getting started with Expatriate, and we're going to dig into the thought process of this great guest of mine, Adrian. He lived all over the world and doing great things. We're going to talk about what it was like, traveling from country to country, back to back, doing this, and still maintaining. We haven't even talked about his career field yet. He's doing some magnificent things in there as it relates to investments and the clients and the different countries that he works with and have clients in. Because when you have clients in multiple countries and wherever you go, they follow you, that means that you're doing something right. You're doing something right. And you're keeping some smiles on people's faces, and you're also making their bank account smile too. But but it still takes that thing called trust. And just getting the opportunity to know this young man before we went off into all of these things is so important, I think. So, Aiden, that's where the clock was going. Getting a chance to know you, understanding, boom, boom, boom. It's kind of like pieces of the puzzles coming together. And just building a story, if that makes any sense. So, Adrian, let's pick it back up from there. We were talking about expatriates, and we were trying to get your definition of that and how that ties into you being able to travel, gain experience, education, understanding, focus, where you're able to communicate with clients in all the different countries, even though you are not there, but you're there because they know you and they trust you. That's got to be a special skill set. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that took me some time, and I would say, compared to North America, right? Now, of course, I understand that in the States, every state's idiosyncratic, and there's different nuances, and then you got us Canadians up here, and we're kind of doing our own thing as well. But generally speaking, you don't have to worry about, say, if you're from Alabama going to Georgia or going to a different state, like outside of football rivalries and all of that, there isn't much of a culture shock or having to deal with different ways of doing things, right? I'm speaking broadly here. Of course, there are little things, but I'm talking about major things like, how to greet somebody or what kind of what table manners are like. Table manners don't change regardless of what the state you're in, right? Whereas, when you're living in Asia, you have to, you're spending some time over in Thailand, and then, seeing clients, and a week later you're in Macau, or, you're in Vietnam, and everything's different, right? The way you talk to people, the way you introduce yourself to somebody, the way you, I would, eat food, and, all of those things it's a steep learning curve. Believe me, I've had a couple of embarrassing moments, but, overall, that I think is the biggest difference between being a business person, or an expat as they call it, in Asia versus working here in North America. And kind of before we went to commercial, I was a bit of a long-winded way of saying, I think that there's so much interesting stuff going on culturally, right? That's exciting and helps with our development and, like, embracing and understanding, that I think Hollywood kind of just makes it look all quirky over there, right? But it's actually not, right? There's another side to it, right? That's so interesting and so amazing, right? And helps with so much development, and to make people just, well-rounded. And that's why I like to talk about it whenever I can, because that experience in that time, those 34 years I spent in Asia really shaped me. And I think I can be in a room with anyone from any country and have something to say, right? My high school had over 70 nationalities, my international high school in Tokyo, and traveling everywhere, meeting all these clients. And, between my high school and that experience, I don't think I've ever met somebody and they told me where they're from, and I've just been like, cool, what's that like? There's always a bit of a dialogue, and hopefully I can be relatable in some way, or say that I've had their food or visited their country, or even more in depth, I don't know, seen movies from their country, or speak about specific culinary delights of their country. And I don't know, I'm so grateful for that, and to be honest, I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Adrian, adaptability.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that you're back in Canada now.
Yeah.
You were in Tokyo, Singapore, Hong Kong. Adaptability, getting back to Canada, where you said that's considered home.
Yes.
What was it like after working in all of these places, living in all these places, coming back in the financial industry? The financial industry is, I know most people like, how am I going to maintain all these clients? How am I going to be able to provide them with what they need? How am I going to be able to create and increase my clientele? What can I do from an international perspective to help build, help grow when I'm not in all those countries anymore? Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. Well, it was kind of, in a lot of ways, it was easy in that I kind of pivoted my career when I moved back here. So when I was in Asia, I was in capital markets. So I was on the institutional side. My clients were all institutional. Okay. And by institutional, I mean, hedge funds, asset managers, sovereign money, banks. Okay. And when I moved back to Canada, I went into wealth management for individuals and families and business owners, NGOs and such. So essentially, I moved from the institutional side to the retail side. So I bring that experience, right, of all the products and the instruments that I was dealing with at the institutional side, and I'm able to share that and use that knowledge to my sort of client's advantage, if you will, at a retail level in Canada. So my clients from back then are not my clients today. Today I deal with people, which is something I've always wanted to do. It's got a bit more of a, not that I didn't love what I did before, but I always wanted to do this, set up my own wealth management practice so I can work with people. We can literally grow older together. And that seems a lot more something that has a bit more wheels to me over the long term. It's got some more longevity and career satisfaction down the line. I don't want to be a 60-year-old guy on the trading floor, whereas I would love to be a 60-year-old guy helping a family send their kid to college.
Wow, I kind of like that because many of us do not think in those terms, and we're not going to be prepared. Meaning, if you don't see it, if you don't think it out, your career And you never know, things are going to happen in between the careers. You're not going to know where you're going to go. You know what? I tell you, I'm going to take a station break. You got to take a station break. But yeah, you know what? Let me tell you this before the break there. Adrian, I am enjoying this conversation. I'm enjoying the education. I'm enjoying the inspiration. And I know my viewers are as well. You know, I'll tell you, whichever platform you're watching this on, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to that platform, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. Remember, it's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley. The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. And I am enjoying the conversation with this young man right here. Very intriguing, very knowledgeable. And you know, I tell you, international travel, I love international travel. I have traveled ever since I left Chattanooga, Tennessee at the age of 18. Going from a place where I never left before to traveling to over 75, 80 different countries. And adaptability, flexibility as what he used as its adjective. You have to be flexible. And not just that, but you have to be able to embrace change in order to gather the knowledge, understanding, and focus for you not to just help yourself be successful, but for you to bring others in work with them, whatever that is, whether it's counseling, whether it's a business, whether it's a financial advice, whether it's this or that. You have to develop the mindset called trust. Trust. I'm not saying go trust everybody. Everybody don't need to be trusted. But if you get the right person in your corner, you get the right person that it's not just a self-driven thing for them, but it's us, we, the us, the R, not the I, the me and the my. You can build great things together. You can utilize your experience and teach others. In Adrian's case, working in the financial industry, you can have a guy like that on your team, and whatever your goals, whatever your interests are, if you're upfront and share them with him, I believe, and I don't know this young man that well, but from the time that I have had an opportunity to know him, I find him to be a very worthy, trustworthy guy. And didn't mean to put you on the spot like that, Aaron.
I'm blushing here. Thanks, Jason. Yeah.
You know, but that's how life is, man. And so I encourage everybody to step out your comfort zone. Travel, whatever that is. It doesn't matter where you start from, just like in my case, started from the projects of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Ended up in Japan for 7 years. Ended up working in 2 White House administration. Ended up working I mean, no matter where you start from, where you're going to end. But you have to have people along the way to help you out. So with that being said, Adrian, I want to get back to our topic, Expatriate. For people out there that's listening to this and that's probably in a similar situation that you might be in, but was afraid to make that next step because they was in their comfort zone. Like, oh, I can't never leave here. Oh, if I go back over here, if I can't do this, it's over. What advice will you give people that want to step out their comfort zone, but so used to being fair, so used to the standard quo, and or adverse against change, and that could be the downfall because technology changes all the time. What would you say to them?
You know, I hate to sound like I'm not a again, I'm a big sports guy, and I always quote my favorite athletes, right? But you know, as the late Kobe Bryant, you know, would say to that, and it's what I applied to my life, you know, in general, is, you know, the work you don't want to do is where all the magic is, right? And I find that to be, that's my mantra, you know, going against your grain and facing what you're slightly scared about doing, you know, and it's really out there, out of your comfort zone. That's where the magic is. And I'm not just saying that like a bumper sticker comment, right? Or a refrigerator magnet. I've looking back on my life, that's been the case from childhood. You know, when I was really settled in and happy in Canada, and when my dad said we're moving back to Japan, you have to leave all your friends, I was in tears and I didn't want to leave Canada. And I think now, like, man, if we didn't do that, I don't know if my life would have taken the trajectory that it took today. You know, I can say everything has been that kind of a result. When I felt this is going to be tough, it's always come out the other end worthwhile.
And you know why I think that, Adrian, is because it's been many inflections in my life.
Yeah.
Where it was roadblocks. I did not see a path. I did not see, there was no way that I could get around this. And now I'm looking at it like there is nothing. But what I learned is that you sit back and you think of the good and the bad, regardless of what situation, circumstance it is. You weigh the good and the bad, but you also have to have an open mind. Case in point, we live in California and we live in Texas. I ran for election. You don't know anything about this. I ran for mayor twice in Temecula, California, the city that I was living in. My wife hates politics. It came down to where there was some things happened and they was pushing me to run for Congress. And I know my wife gonna kill me. But she hated that so much. She's like, oh no, we're moving back to Texas. Because you told me you take me back to Texas. Now, we already got our home in Texas, right? Thing was I was sitting back here, selfish a little bit, trying to figure out. Okay, I know she just don't want me to run. I know this, but then you have to start thinking of other things, like family, this, that. That's my wife. Well, I wouldn't be nobody without her. So you have to put certain things aside. You have to block off your mind, and you have to look at the good for everybody. And sometimes we have to take those chances. We have to take the chance, like, okay, being the congressman or being whatever, it's important. But it's not that important if I don't have her. We have to make tough decisions with everything that we do. And sometimes I believe that we have to dig deep inside of us and take risks. Because there's always going to be a way out. There's always a positive thing in what we do. And that's what, just listening to you doing this interview, we only got about 3 minutes to go. Man, you're a very positive guy. You are a very thoughtful or nostalgic guy that I can tell that you think about everything that you do. And I commend you on that, brother.
Thank you. I would say that there's it's hard to articulate it, but you know, if you're ever, the way I like to sort of think about it is, if you're ever in a decision to make a choice that's difficult, you know, you've been, you know, whatever your feelings are about, you know, spirituality, the universe, you know, what we're doing here, you know, you've been brought there to make this choice. And that in itself is just such an amazing blessing, right? Now people don't have choices, right? So, you know, it can't be, you can't be scared of that, right? And it goes back to the whole embracing thing, right? You've been brought there. However you want to believe you've been brought there, you've been brought there. So you got to embrace that sort of that scary feeling and, you know, all that comes with it, that it's actually an amazing thing. So
you have to embrace that, and you have to have an open mind, I believe, again. And you have to surround yourself with people. Adrian, surround yourself with people that you trust.
Absolutely.
If you don't trust them, and I don't care if they're your friend, they're your mama, they're your brother, Try to eliminate liability. You know exactly what I'm talking about with that.
Yep.
Surround yourself with people that you trust. If you don't trust them, you don't need to be around you.
They don't feel good. You got to let them go.
You got to let them go regardless who it is.
And that's not hard to figure out. Just take a breath and think about it.
It's not hard to figure out what it's.
It doesn't feel right. They don't feel good. Sorry.
If I don't trust somebody,
yeah,
they can't be a part of mine. Anything I do, I'd rather go down by myself, knowing what I'm gonna do. Adrian, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, JC. Likewise.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So I want to thank you. And I said, hey, man, we're going to do this again one day. Once you settle in, watch everything and feel comfortable. This is how we do it, bro. We do it big, but we don't do it at all. It's all about honesty, integrity, and ethics. Kevin, you hear me? It's all about honesty, integrity, and ethics. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I hope you decide to come back on again one day. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another fantastic show. I'd like to thank my producers, KCB Crew, AM 1170 Answer, FM 96.1, for always bringing in. I'd like to thank Kevin, the boss, as I call him, and his team, Todd, Chris, and etc., for always there to support me and my show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for joining. It's Your Life. To learn more about Dr. James Cooley and how you can support the show or become a guest, visit CooleyFoundation.org. Join James for more motivation and inspiration to help you become equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. This has been It's Your Life with Dr. James Cooley, where you learn how to dream big, think big, and be big in everything you do.
It's Your Life is sponsored by